Nearly all of us do it.
You'll go and look at one thing and then you start looking at everything.
Right,
And
right.
before you know it, you're there an hour and a half.
Some of us more than others.
How much time do you think you spend on your phone a day?
Probably like 3 hours. Probably like four.
Like an hour, maybe.
9 hours, 12 minutes.
In a survey conducted by Statista, nearly 50% of people say that they spend 5 to 6 hours on their phone per day. That's about 1/3 of your waking hours. But why?
Your brain works in the same way as being addicted to your electronics as it does if you're addicted to drugs.
Psychologist Veronica Lambert says with every notification, dopamine and serotonin are activated in our brains.
It gives you that feeling of happiness. It's our happy neurotransmitters. And so then what happens is that your brain is sitting there then searching for more.
And sometimes getting that fix can lead to dark consequences, especially for kids.
Most teens, there's a huge push and drive for likes, for follows.
John Landfair has over 25 years of experience in law enforcement and cyber crimes. He says lately there has been a rise in adults posing as kids online, oftentimes leading to cases of sextortion.
They may befriend a kid on social media, but then they'll ask them to move to some other form of platform. Then they may escalate their encounters with the kids to ask for maybe an inappropriate picture.
But adults aren't immune, sometimes finding themselves in questionable situations when being overactive on social media, even on professional sites like LinkedIn.
Tagging ourselves at certain geographic locations. We have to remember that we've now left a literal digital trail of where we've been and what we're doing.
Large amounts of screen time can also have deep psychological impacts, especially when chasing validation on social media.
Being on electronics too much does have an impact to depression, anxiety.
But we know separating from our devices is easier said than done.
There's always so many things I need to like look up, or a map, or like food or restaurants.
So here's a few easy steps you can take to practice digital wellness. First, experts recommend instead of sending a text message, take a few minutes to call or FaceTime someone. Consider downloading screen time apps. The Digital Wellness Institute recommends the app Opal. And start the new year with a social media cleanse.
You look through your list and you're like, I don't know who that individual is that's following me on Instagram. Delete them. Start fresh. Use this new year as an opportunity to kind of start fresh in the social media world.